We actually want to start with our wonderful keynote for today, who is Leslé Honoré. So Leslé Honoré is a dear friend of HCAS and of my own, and she is going to introduce herself and her bio within her keynote today. So I'm not going to say that in advance, but really just want to say thank you to Leslé for being our keynote for today. She is a conscious ambassador. She is a partner and an ally in this very, very important work. So let's kick off today by hearing from her, and then we will move with our agenda.
Hi, my name is Leslé Honoré. I'm a mother, an author, a poet, co-chair of Elevated Chicago, and the CEO of Urban Gateways. Prior to Urban Gateways, the list is long and no less important. Managing Director of Strategy and Communications for the Center of Neighborhood Technology, Executive Director of SEIU's Member Education and Training Center, Executive Director of the Clio Center, Program Coordinator of Youth and Safety and Violence Prevention for the YMCA of Metropolitan Chicago, and the list goes on. These roles are few pulled from over 20 years of working in nonprofit with the intention of serving, creating access, being an advocate. What do these roles have in common? An inherited staff who had experienced workplace trauma of not being seen, heard, or understood, some while in the midst of a pandemic. All of us as a team needed tools to learn how to see each other, respect each other, and trust each other. Leadership can be lonely. It can be isolating. It's hard to make decisions for yourself, let alone others, for an organization, for your communities that you are accountable for. You need partnership, guidance, someone outside of the forest who doesn't just see the trees, they see you in your fullness, in your gifts, and in your desire to be of service. That is what Hansra is. They help you navigate, help you determine what the North Star is, and help you create a map on how to get there. I first partnered with Hansra in 2018 in my role as the Green Line South Community Table Lead with Elevated Chicago. That role focused on equitable transit-oriented development, walkability, and art in the communities of Washington Park and Woodlawn. The stakeholders of our table were leaders of organizations in the community. And as they matriculated out of their roles, they left their prospective organizations. We experienced instability in the table and the loss of historical knowledge of the work done in those communities. Hansra helped us create a strategic plan, focusing on our collective desired impact and how to plan for the transitions that were inevitable. 5 years later, that plan is still what we continue to lean on and use to make our work plans, to onboard new members and pursue funding and support for the communities we represent. In January of 2020, I started my role as SEIU's first executive director for their team who had no ED for 6 years. I had 2 short months with my team before the pandemic hit. Not only did I need to figure out how to build trust and lead a team through a pandemic, I also had to figure out how to support over 40,000 home care and child care workers in the state of Illinois that my team was responsible for training. And just when we were catching our breath, the murder of George Floyd happened. The world erupted in pain, anger, and grief. I didn't need a strategic plan. I needed something else, something to help us as a team and as individuals acknowledge the trauma we were experiencing, the biases we carried, and how to manage them in ways that respected each other, challenge the individual to look inward, and identified a common lexicon to help us create a workplace culture that was conscious from leadership down, that sought to understand and not to judge. To create a space that we as a team could show up as our whole selves and give us the tools to do so, that we can continue to reference, lean on, and learn from. It gave us such a great foundation that all of SEIU's leadership also became conscious ambassadors after my team became certified. When I moved to Center for Neighborhood Technology in 2021, I was tasked with helping the organization live its values of equity and sustainability with its partners, which meant first having to live those values in the organization. So of course, again, we partnered with Hansra. The entire organization became conscious ambassadors. And now, upon embarking on my newest role of CEO of Urban Gateways in the fall of 2020, knowing I would be inheriting a team who had no CEO for 9 months and was just coming back in person after the pandemic. I told the board during my interviews that I would be bringing Hansra with me to first certify the team as conscious ambassadors, to help us work out past traumas, to acknowledge that they exist, to help us work as individuals with our own biases, how we see the world, how we see ourselves, then how we partner. How do we show up? To help me as a leader to support my team in learning and understanding that this wasn't a one-off training, that this would be the foundation on how we work together, how we work with others, and how we plan for our organization's next 60 years. And finally, to help us do our strategic plan and to support us through its implementation. Notice a pattern? We are not born knowing how to lead. We don't always know how to support a team, how to create a space that encourages lifelong learning and a lifelong journey of applying an elevated consciousness to create workspaces where people can show up fully and be respected for their complete humanity. We aren't born with that knowledge, and we're not always taught, but that's okay, because I know I can always look to Hansra to help me navigate the way through, to help me build a team that can grow in trust, in understanding, in the fullness of themselves, to help us create a plan for our organization to take us through 1 year, 3 years, and beyond, to help us ground our values and our goals and our impact in the principles of seeing each other fully, seeing our communities fully, and supporting them fully. So whatever the next role is, if there is a next one, I know I'll be calling on Hansra to help me navigate and to help me find a way and to help support myself as a leader and to support my team, because that's what Hansra does.
Wow, wow, wow. Virtual round of applause for Leslé Honoré. Wow, thank you so much for sharing your journey. I have to tell you, as you know from engaging with us, this is our heart's work. And to know that this work has impacted Leslé and her organizations in this way is really leaves us in full gratitude. So thank you so much for kicking us off today, Leslé. We appreciate you, and we appreciate our partnership with you across the organizations that you support in this really extraordinary and impactful work that you are leading.